What if I told you that the very first building in Sri Lanka, formerly Ceylon, to shimmer with electric lights, hum with the rhythmic whir of ceiling fans, and summon service with the mere press of a button, wasn't a governor's mansion, a wealthy planter's bungalow, or a native squire's grand estate, but instead a hotel? Not just any hotel, but one that didn't merely adapt modernity, it introduced it. A place where luxury met innovation, where opulence and cutting edge technology coexisted in dazzling harmony. But here's the real shocker: this grand establishment, this beacon of progress, no longer exists. Erased from the city's skyline, swallowed by time, and forgotten by all but a few. This was the Bristol Hotel in Colombo, the first electrified building in Sri Lanka, a marvel of its time, a legend that once redefined hospitality only to vanish into oblivion. Join me as I resurrect the lost legacy of the Bristol Hotel and uncover the forgotten story of Sri Lanka's first brush with electricity. Back in the late 19th century, when Colombo was transforming into a bustling colonial hub, the Bristol Hotel was at the center of it all. It was one of the finest hotels in the Orient, a place that welcomed the elite, the wealthy, and travelers from across the world. Perched at the top of York Street and Prince Street, now Savaram Chaitalakamavata, the Bristol Hotel, which stood opposite the famous Cargill's building, was a symbol of opulence, modernity, and high society. According to Murray's Handbooks for Travelers, a prestigious series of travel guides published in London by John Murray, the Bristol Hotel Colombo was a highly sought after destination for tourists. Its prime location near the jetty made it the perfect retreat for weary travelers stepping off grand steamships. And what about convenience? Well, it was unmatched. Post and telegraph offices, banks, and the railway station all laid within a stone's throw from its grand entrance. But what set the Bristol Hotel apart was not just its luxury, it was its embrace of cutting edge technology. In 1890, in a dimly lit billiard room within the Bristol Hotel, history was made. The very first electric light in Sri Lanka flickered to life, powered by a diesel generator. This was the time when even major cities around the world had yet to adapt electricity. Just imagine the awe of the guests as they watched the room glow brightly at the flip of a switch. There are several theories as to how the name Bristol came to be associated with this grand hotel in Ceylon. One popular theory is that Bristol was already a well known chain of hotels in Europe by the time the Bristol Hotel was established in Colombo, leading to its adaptation. Others suggest it was inspired by the English port city of Bristol, which interestingly was the first city in Britain to have a public electric supply, a fitting connection given the hotel's pioneering use of electricity. Yet another theory links the name to Frederick Hervey, the 4th Earl of Bristol and the Bishop of Derry, who was known for his travels and patronage of grand establishments. Whatever the true origin, one thing remains certain. Colombo's Bristol Hotel was a shining beacon of modernity in the colonial world. Fascinatingly, the street that once led to the entrance of the Bristol Hotel was originally named after the hotel itself, Bristol Street. However, it was later renamed in honor of Sir Razik Farid, becoming Sir Razik Farid Mawata. Beyond its technological advancement, the Bristol Hotel in Colombo was a symbol of luxury and prestige. Its advertisements were published in English, French, and German, a clear sign of its international clientele. According to some of the advertisements, the best cuisine in the East was served here, and the kitchen was ruled by French chefs whose culinary expertise attracted European aristocrats, diplomats, and wealthy merchants. And while the Bristol Hotel proudly boasted about its curries being a specialty, its menu was as European as it was exotic. However, behind the glamour, the hotel was deeply influenced by the rigid social hierarchies of the colonial era as highlighted in Tropical Agriculturist published in 1899. Caste played a crucial role in how employees were assigned tasks. A high caste boy who worked as a personal attendant would refuse to perform manual labor as it was beneath his status. Instead, a separate coolie was assigned to tasks such as sweeping and carrying luggages. Even more astonishing, no women were employed in the Bristol Hotel or in any major hotel in Ceylon at the time. All services, from room service to dining, were handled entirely by men, whom Europeans called boys. One of the most famous managing directors of the Bristol Hotel Colombo was William Tudor Stephen Saunders, who arrived in Ceylon in 1868 as a coffee planter in Moravak Korale. After the devastating coffee blight that led to the collapse of the industry, he sold his plantations and ventured into the hotel business. Saunders was instrumental in founding the Bristol Hotel in Colombo, where he served as its first managing director. He later moved on to manage the Grand Oriental Hotel (GOH), the Ceylon Railway Refreshment Car Company, the Hatton Hotel, and the Grand Hotel in Norelia. Now let's discuss Bristol Hotel's distinguished guests. One of them was none other than Mark Twain, the legendary American writer and humorist. He visited the hotel in 1896 and found himself captivated by the Sinhalese hotel staff. Their long black hair, neatly tied into buns, fascinated him, especially the use of tortoiseshell combs tucked into their locks, a fashion unique to low country Sinhalese men of that era. To Twain, they resembled something out of an exotic novel, a striking image he would later recount in his writings. But the Bristol Hotel wasn't just a resting place for the world's elite, it was a nerve center for business and high society. Some of Ceylon's wealthiest merchants, including OLM Markan Makar, father of Sir Markan Makar, ran their businesses from within its grand walls. Makar's gem store catered to British and European royalty, aristocrats, Ottoman sultans, and Indian maharajas. Then we have AWA Plate, initially an apothecary turned to photography, and opened his first studio in the Bristol Hotel in 1890. His postcards capturing the beauty of colonial Ceylon became world renowned, with Plate and Company later growing into a photographic empire. Time, however, is merciless. By the 1960s, the grandeur of the Bristol Hotel had faded. Its luxurious halls were repurposed into commercial offices, its spaces filled with small stores, liquor shops, and jewelry outlets. By the late 1980s, the once iconic structure had crumbled beyond repair. Demolition soon followed, erasing the last physical remnants of its illustrious past. Today, not a single brick remains. No glowing lights, no grand ballrooms, no whispers of aristocrats discussing trade deals over fine wine. Only the pages of old travel journals and a handful of faded postcards tell its story. Most people who walk past its former site have no idea what once stood there. The halls where Mark Twain strolled, the kitchens where French chefs ruled, the rooms where Sri Lanka's first electric light flickered to life, all gone, all vanished. But memories, dear friends, are treasures that time cannot destroy. If you would like to dive deep into the fascinating history of the Bristol Hotel, please do check out the sources and recommended readings mentioned in the description below. And for those who wish to get in touch with me, please feel free to email me at tuanzamirwrites@gmail.com. Until next time, this is me, Zamir Karim, signing off, uncovering history one story at a time. Take care, God bless you all.